The next speaker is a personal friend, and this speaker I always enjoy speaking to him. He is a peak performance success coach with his organization, the High Flyer Nation. As a peak performance specialist, he coaches individuals to become the best version of themselves so that they can achieve their goals faster. He's now helping professional coaches get high paying clients and make 4 to 5 figures a month so that they can quit their 9 to 5 and be their own boss running a profitable coaching practice. Today, my good friend Haider will be sharing some strategies. In fact, I think a lot of strategies. Get ready your notebook in mastering the habits of peak performance. Everybody, let us welcome Haider. Over to you, Haider.
Thank you, CK. And thank you, AIA Toastmasters Club, for having me today. I'd like to open my segment with a question. I want all of you to pay close attention because the answer to this question can possibly change the course of your life. And this is the question. What is one key habit that if you were extremely consistent in, can really transform your life in the next 6 months? What is one key habit that if you were extremely consistent in, can really transform your life in the next 6 months? Take a moment to just think about it and write down an answer to that question somewhere on your notes right now. Now, I don't know if you actually did it, if you've written down the answer, because many of you have your videos off. But for many of you, I know that the moment I ask that question, you already have something in mind. That habit could be waking up earlier, it could be exercising, or it could be creating more connections. See, here's the truth of the matter. If you sit down and really pause and reflect on your life, you will realize that most of the times you already know what to do. You don't need me or Kevin or Eileen or Vivian or anyone else to tell you what you need to do. The question is, why aren't you doing it? And if you are doing it, why aren't you consistent in it? Here's the secret. It has nothing to do with self-discipline. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Haider, and today I'm going to help us answer those questions. We're going to be discussing how you can create a system of habits so that you can do what you need to do to achieve all your goals, despite the fear, despite resistance, and despite our favorite friend, procrastination. That is what my segment, Mastering Habits for Peak Performance, is all about. So just a little bit about myself. I'm a peak performance success coach. I work mainly with individuals one-to-one. Like many of you here, I am my own business. I have to do my own sales, my own marketing. And currently, I'm also helping other coaches like myself to build their own profitable and sustainable coaching business. Now, being self-employed and having to deal with a lot of uncertainty, and I'm sure you can relate to this, it really helps to have strong routines, habits, rituals to create a sense of stability and security for yourself. And for me, I don't know why, but I'm just a guy who's a bit weird because I've been obsessed about this thing called habits. And I think it's a personality quirk that I've had for a very long time. And I want to take this opportunity to just share with you my story. The thing is, when I was 17 or 18 years old, I like to set a lot of habit goals. What I would do is on my wall, I would have all these like habit charts that I would draw using pencil, and it's all A4 size. And what I would do is I would draw like small little icons to represent all my goals. And I would draw all the boxes. I take a ruler and then draw all the boxes. And then every single day, as I do those habits, I would just tick, 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 tick. And I really enjoyed that feeling. Back then, I would read a lot of personal development books, and I was always inspired when I read that all those successful people, all those billionaires, all those high achievers, they all have habits. They all have highly successful habits. The Tony Robbins, the Warren Buffetts, the Bill Gates of the world. And because these people, they were so up there, so far away from who I was, I felt that habits were the only thing that I had in common with them, or that I could possibly have in common with them. I was broke back then. And I'm sure all of us were broke at some point in our lives. That time I was 17, 18, I was in poly. I was broke, so I don't have all these wealth of the billionaires. I was socially awkward. I don't have their charisma. I wasn't doing well in school, so I don't have their intelligence. But at the very least, if I can just model myself after them by having the same habits, if I can wake up the same time as them, if I can read the same amount of books as them, if I can connect with the same amount of people as them, then maybe I thought to myself, I could be one step closer to achieving their level of success. So to me, habits became a way which I could measure how I was similar to all those highly successful people. And after that, it became like a game, right? Whereby I would try to outdo myself, see how long I can make my habits last. If I felt that I was weak, and I'm still a skinny boy, but back then also I was much, much more skinny. Let me see if I can do 50 push-ups every day, and let me see how long I can do it. If I feel like I don't have knowledge on any topic, let me see if I can read 2 pages a day and see how long I can do for a month. If I have no confidence, let me see if I can talk to one stranger a day. And how much confidence can I build after a period of time? So that became my philosophy for how I would go on to achieve all my goals, whether it's public speaking, entrepreneurship, fitness, business. I always believe that one of the biggest reasons why I'm blessed to achieve the things that I was achieving was because I had $1 million question. And all of you, if you want to start getting millions of dollars, you also must have $1 million question. Okay, so my $1 million question was, how can I make progress towards my goals feel effortless and automatic? We tend to think about, oh, you want to achieve your goal, you must work hard. Or you must have a big network, or you must have this, or you must have this quality, or you must be a leader, you must be courageous and do all that. But I was trying to think about, how can I make progress towards my goal feel effortless so that I don't have to drag myself to do the things I need to do? How do I do that? I want to know how I can move forward without being held back by the fear, how I could keep challenging myself without the resistance, how I could achieve that level of unconscious competence as quickly as possible and as painless as possible. And here's the thing about questions. When you ask the right questions, you tend to get the answer. And for me, the answer was habits. Because habits are our built-in system for success. Okay, system. You see, the thing about habits is that habits is just about systems. We are all creatures of habits. Human beings, we are all creatures of habits. We tend to do things in a very routine way because it's a pre-built system inside of us that was intended to help us survive. Okay, so when we encounter certain things in life and then we get scared, so we develop the habit of not going to that place or not encountering that risk or not doing the things that we used to do, right? If you touch a hot stove, I can tell you from then on, you don't even need to create the habit. The habit has already been created, right? You will never touch a hot stove from then on. So here's the thing. If the fact that all of us have a pre-built-in system for habits, are you using your inbuilt habit system to survive or to thrive? Type in the chat below, how many of you have a system to achieve your goals? Type yes if you have a system to achieve your goals. If you have a system to achieve your goals, type yes in the chat. Okay, if you can confidently say you have a system to achieve your goals, type yes in the chat. Okay, thinking doesn't count. Okay, half yes, also half a system. Okay, maybe half results also. Okay, so Hernie says yes, Linda says yes, and then can wink at us some more, right? Ben says yes, okay. Jack says yes and can improve. Very good, right? Jack got a growth mindset. If you look at all the top performers in the world, regardless of what profession and regardless of what industry, I guarantee you this, all top performers have systems. All top performers have systems. The reason why that person has achieved MDRT and you've not means the person who has an MDRT has a system. Or maybe you also have a system, but it's not the same system as that person. So do you have a system that you can have? Do you have a system that can consistently produce results that you want? Anybody can have a good day. Right? Anybody can close a big deal. Anybody can have a bad day. But do you have a system to consistently produce results over a long period of time? And if you've not been getting the results, could it be that your system is still wired for survival? So that you've not upgraded your system yet. Your system is outdated. Okay, so you need to fix all those bugs. I'm sure many of you have heard this quote before. Insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result. And like what Kevin mentioned earlier, past performances are not a guarantee of future performances, right? That's the dangerous thing about having habits. Sometimes your habits can push you forward, but your habits can also hold you back. Now, while on this note, I want to introduce to all of you this very simple parable. It's called the parable of the stone cutter. How many of you know what this parable of the stone cutter is? All right, raise your hand if you know. Okay, or you can type yes if you know. So back then, in the ancient times, they didn't have construction technology. There were no cranes, there were no drills. People didn't have tools, right? People had simple tools, and that was the only thing they had to create buildings and all those infrastructure and even build the pyramids. They only used simple tools. Now, back then, people didn't have excavators and all that. So if, let's say, they want to destroy a huge boulder that was blocking the way, they didn't have a machine to do so. So what they did was they would call in a stone cutter. Now, what the stone cutter would do is the stone cutter doesn't have a lot of highly futuristic tools. They only had simple tools. Okay, maybe they had a hammer or maybe they had a chip, and which they used to just knock again and again on the boulders or anything that was blocking the way. Now, instead of me telling you this, let me just show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let's look at this video here. Wow, says Linda. Okay, do you see that? Let me show you again. Yes, very straight, huh? Very straight, right? Okay, I mean, imagine that, right? All he did was just knock on all those points, and finally, the boulder just splits into half. Now, this is a very simple analogy to think about habits. How many of you have tried diets before? Diets, say yes in the chat. How many of you have tried working on your health or fitness before, but you've not gotten results? Type yes in the chat. Okay, maybe you went to the gym for a while and you've not gotten results, or you tried to lose weight, didn't really get it done. You try to change your diet, maybe you change to plant-based diet, or you try Atkins or keto diet, didn't work out, right? Okay. All right, Chin Kok is dead yet. All right, yes, Chen tried everything. Okay, here's the thing about habits. Anytime we want to install new habits in our life, when we start doing them, there will be a period of time when you will see zero results. Okay, and just like the stone cutter, every chip, right, every time he knocks on the boulder wall, you don't see anything. There's no crack. There's no sign that the boulder is even budging. And from an outsider point of view, we see that, hey, nothing's happening. Maybe I'm doing the wrong things. I give up. Okay, that's not how habits work. Habits work to the point where you keep doing the same thing over and over again, but the results are happening below the surface. Okay, and that's the power of habits. You may not see all the hairline fractures that are happening in that boulder each time the guy knocks on it. You don't see that. But you just keep going, keep going, and keep going without giving up. Finally, the boulder snaps, not just into pieces, into a clean split. Imagine that. Okay, so that is the power of habits. That is why I'm also fascinated about habits. I really enjoy just doing the habits, and even if I don't see the results, I just keep doing it because I know one day my boulder will snap. Okay, and today I'm going to teach you how to do that for your life. All right. Okay, how many of you are excited? Say yes in the chat. Okay, I'm going to see a lot of yeses. If I don't see yes, then I stop this seminar. We can all go home. All right, thank you. All right, fantastic. Love Zakia's energy. Okay, today's segment. Okay, so this is what you're going to be getting from the short 45 minutes that I have with all of you here today. We're going to be talking about the theory of habits, 3 simple principles to build lasting habits. When you talk about habits, you want it to be long lasting. You don't want habits. Everybody knows how to set habits, but they don't know how to make them last. I'm going to teach you 3 lasting principles. If you follow the principles properly, I guarantee you can make your habits last. Second thing is the 4-part habit setting exercise. Okay, this is not from me. I learned it from this amazing guy called James Clear. If you've read his book, Atomic Habits, I highly encourage that you pick up that book. Okay, 4-part habit setting exercise. This is the practical part. I will share with you my take on it. All right, how would I go about doing it? And I will share with you certain case studies from my own life, how I've gotten my habits to work using this 4-part habit setting exercise. Okay, so it's going to be the theory and also the practical. And in addition, I'm also going to be giving you access to this thing called 10 proven strategies to master your habits. Okay, you want to stay tuned all the way to the end, and I'll share with you what these 10 strategies are. Okay, so without further delay, let's get right into it. Let's talk about the 3 key principles to build lasting habits. When you talk about habits, there is an art and science to do so. This is the theory part. If you follow the theory, if you follow the principles, what are principles? Principles are certain rules, all right, rules of thumb. If you can follow the principles, you will ultimately and inevitably get success. Most people don't even know the principles. They start with the tactics first, or they start with the techniques first without truly understanding why does it work. Today, I'm going to teach you why certain habits work and why they don't. And the ones that do always follow these 3 key principles. Okay, so these are the 3 key principles here. All right, light bulb in a head, 3 blocks, and human being. Okay, and I'm going to reveal to you as we go along. And here's the great thing. I really love that. I really love to make things simple and make things easy to understand. So I ensured that each principle started with the same letter. Okay, so it's very easy for you to understand and remember. Okay, so anytime you want to embark on a new habit, please remember these 3 principles. Okay, let's start with the first one. The first principle is intention. Intention. Okay, what's the principle? Having a strong and clear why, okay, makes the habits 10 times more lasting and sustainable. Having a strong and clear why makes the habits more sustainable. Why do you want to go on a diet? Why do you want to read more books? Why do you want to exercise? Tell me why. Tell me why you want to do all these things. Why? Here's the thing. As a peak performance coach, a lot of people they ask me and say, how do you train me to get to do this more consistently? How do I become more consistent? How do I drop certain habits? I always start by asking them, okay, so why do you want to have this habit? Why do you want it? Right? Then they'll be like, because I see someone do it, it looks nice. Oh, because it's in fashion. Oh, because it's the in thing now. Oh, because my friend also go on a diet, so I was wondering if I can do so as well. I just looked at them like that. And then I say, I can accurately predict how long you will sustain the habit just based on your intention alone. Okay. Now, all of you are FSCs here. You need to ask yourself why you need to do sales. You need to ask yourself why you need to do it. Do you need to ask yourself why you need to go to work? Okay, no, right? Because it's your work. You know that that's what you need to do, right? And so that you can get your rice bowl, achieve your dreams, so on and so forth. Like what Kevin asked, right? Why am I in this business? Okay, sometimes we forget. Okay, so same thing again, intention. As you all know, this workshop is joined by AIA Toastmasters. I also started out as a Toastmaster myself. I didn't start out as a trainer doing public speaking. I joined Toastmasters back in 2014. And that was about 8 years ago. My intention was just to become a more confident speaker. Now, I could safely say that I've already achieved some form of competence from public speaking, but I continue to stay in Toastmasters, not because I still have the same intention, but because now I have a stronger intention. My intention is to inspire others to take themselves to the next level to peak performance. And because of that, I need to be doing all these workshops and seminars and talks, because this is what I really love to do. And if I'm going to do it well, I need to do it at a very high level. So that's my intention. What is yours? Okay, a lot of you know about Start With Why, Simon Sinek. It's been around for so long already. I'm sure you've heard it so many times. Oh, start with why, start with why. But it's more important than you think. Okay, let's take a look at the next principle. Okay, also start with I. What do you think it is? Type in the chat. What do you think it is? What is this one? Guess, right? Now got guessing game. More interactive. Okay, the word is not interactive. All right. The second I is infrastructure. Infrastructure. Okay. When the right infrastructure is in place, the habit naturally follows. When the right infrastructure is in place, the habit naturally follows. A lot of people think habit is about what? Self-discipline. Oh, the fact that he's so consistent and he got very good discipline, nothing to do with self-discipline. It got nothing to do with self-discipline. Okay, the person who is very consistent in that habit does not feel like they need to use self-discipline or willpower to keep doing it. There's a reason why they keep doing it every day. And that's because the infrastructure is in place. The environment that they have supports their habits. How many of you have mentors? Do you have a mentor? Right? Type yes if you have a mentor. Okay, you can raise your hand as well, right? Or type Y. Very good. Okay, how many of you have mentors? Okay, now having a mentor is very, very important because mentors can help you, can keep you accountable. But here's the thing, your mentors don't decide whether you do or you don't do. You decide. Okay, in fact, you need to keep your mentor accountable. How do you do that? One of the most effective things that I did, okay, to apply these principles was that if I want to be more consistent in a new habit, I have a mentor, and for me, I'm paying him every month. I pay him to be my mentor, okay? And it's to help me as well. So this is what I would do. If let's say I have a new habit and I want to write a new book, okay? And if I want the habit of writing at least 1 page a day, this is what I would do. I would set up a WhatsApp group. I would add myself and the mentor inside. Okay, and then the title of the WhatsApp group is Haider's Book Writing Project, once a day, something like that. Okay, and what I would do is every single day I would report to him. I would write the date and I send him a tick. Okay, if I did it. So then he knows exactly how many days and how long is my streak if I'm actually doing the work. All right, that is an example of an infrastructure. When you have an infrastructure for accountability, you just naturally become accountable. When you have an infrastructure to support discipline, then you naturally become more disciplined. So if let's say I go for more than 5 days without posting or reporting to him, he just sends me one word, report, okay, with a big question mark. And then either I would report maybe 3 days I had it, and then 2 days X I didn't do. But that's okay, right? The most important is, are you accountable to yourself? Do you have the infrastructure to make it work? We will talk a little bit about this in the practical part. Okay, so think about it this way. If the app is not there, you will not click on it. If your phone is not within reach, you won't start scrolling anything. Okay, if the book is on your desk, then you naturally reach it and read it. If the book is nowhere to be found, then your reading habit is also nowhere to be found. Does that make sense? Okay, so environment, infrastructure is 50% of the game, right? If you can, okay, actually it's not 50%, it's about 30%. But if you have it there, right, when the setup is done, the execution is easy. When the setup is done, the execution is easy. Okay, you follow me so far? Yes? All right, great. I only have Kevin and Linda to give me the non-verbal cue. So I need to rely on both of you, right? You represent the 145 people here, okay? Last one, last principle. Last principle, this one also very, very, very important, okay? Principle number 3 is identity. 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 We naturally act in accordance to how we see ourselves. We naturally act in accordance to how we see ourselves. Okay? Now, I like to say this. Your ideal self is doing 10 good habits that you are not doing right now. Your ideal self is doing 10 good habits that you are not doing right now. Okay? And your ideal self, the person you want to become, is also not doing 10 bad habits that you're doing right now. Okay, so I'll give you an example. My ideal self, okay, my ideal self is going to the gym every day. I'm not doing it. That is one example. Okay. My ideal self is also waking up early, which I'm not doing right now. Okay, make sense? So identity must come first, then behaviors come later. You can always add on more habits as long as it's in alignment with your identity. So what I like to say is, don't focus on finishing a book. Don't focus on reading 1 page a day. Focus on becoming a reader. Don't focus on going for the run. Focus on becoming a runner. All right. I remember way before Toastmasters, before public speaking, before I was giving seminars to thousands of people, I was only 18 and 19 years old. And this is what I would do. In my room, right, in my room, I would be alone in my room, okay, not doing anything funny, but doing something almost a bit funny. Okay, what I would do is I would stand in my room and I would pretend as if I'm giving a speech to thousands of people. I would do this. Okay, so I would do that to an invisible audience and saying gibberish that doesn't come out of my mouth. Okay, then my mom would walk in and say, "What are you doing?" I get shocked. And then I feel very paiseh, then I stop. Then I wait for her to leave and ask me what do I want to eat. Then after I tell her, then after I go back to doing what I was doing. Okay, because in my mind, my ideal self is doing that. So I wanted to program myself to be ready so that one day I'll be able to do the same. Okay, now I'm doing it for real. Okay, but back then I was doing it as pretend. And that's the power of identity. Okay, you need to start adopting habits that your ideal person, your dream person is doing. All right, or your ideal self is doing right now. Visualize your ideal self. What is that person doing? All right, start doing that. Start practicing that in your own way right now. Okay. Follow so far? All right. So what are the 3 principles? What are the 3 principles? So first one, right? Intention. Okay. Second one, infrastructure. Okay. Third one, identity. Thank you, Linda. Okay. 3 principles. All right. You just need to follow these 3 principles. Once you follow these 3 principles, everything else is tactical. Okay. So I like to say that intention is 30%, infrastructure is 30%, and identity is 30%. What is the last 10%? The last 10% is how you actually do it, your actual habits. Okay, the tactical part. Do I do this in the morning? Should I put an alarm? Do I sign up for ballet classes? Right? So that's all tactical. But the principles comes first. Once your principles are solid, right? That is what I help my clients deal with. A lot of them, they can read James Clear and they can start building habits for themselves. But do they know the principles of what makes habits work? All right. So that is what I help my clients in. Okay. Is your intention correct? Do you have the right infrastructure? Is it aligned with your identity? Okay. All right. Now we'll move on to the next part. Okay, the 4-part habit setting exercise. Okay, so if you think that this is a seminar where you can just turn your video off and rest on your bed and just enjoy the show, right? I have some bad news for you. You need to do something. Okay, you want your life to change, you have to put it into action. You have to do something. Okay, so this is what I would invite all of you to do. Okay, as we go along the 4-part habit setting exercise, okay, just have at least a piece of paper with you, or you have, if you're on your devices, right, on a piece of, on your notes, okay, follow this exercise with me. And then by the end, you would have a very strong habit that you can already start implementing. And I would really, really like that. Okay, at the end of the day, I don't want all of you to just know what to do, but not do anything about it. That defeats the purpose of me teaching about habits. Okay, so start getting into the habit of writing notes or practicing and applying something when you attend a webinar. Now, the first step you want to do is you want to choose a habit you'd like to be more consistent in. So I'm going to give all of you about 30 seconds just to choose one. And on your notes, just write that habit down. Okay, whether it's, oh, I want to write a page of a new book, or I want to do 5 more calls a day, or I want to write something tangible that you can do, preferably daily, right? You want to be more consistent in. So do that right now. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the first step. The first step of this habit setting exercise is you need to make it obvious. Make it obvious. Okay. How many of you use an iPhone? You use an iPhone? How many of you realize that iPhone, each time you put alarm, right? Do you notice the snooze button very, very bright? Okay. Why do you think it's very bright here? And to turn off the alarm, the stop sign is all the way down here. Which one do you tend to see if you wake up? Which button? The snooze button or the stop button? Okay. Apple wants you to go back to sleep. That's why they designed it that way. Okay, glad all of you know. Okay, all right. There's a reason why the Q or the button here is so bright, so attractive, so delicious that you have no choice. You have to click the snooze button. Because here's the thing about habits. In order for a habit to be effective, it must have a triggering cue that is obvious and easily accessible. Okay, obvious and easily accessible. Okay, by the snooze button being so bright, it's obvious to you, and it's also easily accessible, so big, so easy to click, right? So your cue has to be very obvious. Okay, so if you want to start any new habit, your habit needs to have a cue that is obvious, right? It could be an alarm. It could be, oh, I just reached here. Now I need to do this. Okay, and the easiest way to start slotting in habits is to start inserting it into your current routines. So this is a simple technique that you can use. It's called habit stacking. Habit stacking. If you want habits to stick, you want to stack them. If you want your habits to stick, you want to stack them. Okay, so it's a very simple format. You can say, after my current habit, I will do my new habit. Okay, so for example, after I step into the bus to go to work, I will turn on my meditation app. because I want to meditate in the bus, for example. Okay, that's my new habit. All right. Or after I come out of the shower, I'm going to do 50 push-ups, for example. All right. So in your habit right now, how do you make it obvious? How can you modify your current habit that you want to incorporate? How do you stack it? You want to stack it to a current habit that is already routine for you right now. Okay. Yes, it's all about routines. It's all about routines. Okay. So some of my friends here from AIA Toastmasters, they know very well that I have a very silly habit. One of my silly habits is that I like to do push-ups in the shower. Okay, I like to do push-ups in the shower. And people say, you do push-ups in the shower, how big is your bathroom? I said, that's not the point. Okay. But the point is, I've not missed doing push-ups in the shower for more than 4 years already. Why? Because I shower every day. Okay. So the moment I turn on my shower, all right, I'm like, okay, my body's like, okay, now I know what to do. Right. So it's a cold shower. For me, I only take cold showers now, to the point where I don't know how to take a warm shower in the morning. I cannot, because the habit is too ingrained. So after I did the cold shower, what I will do is I will just drop down and just do push-ups. And then I would not get up until I've done the required amount. And then I would leave the bathroom. So because of that, I just naturally just do the habit because it's so ingrained to my current routine. Okay. The cue is very obvious. You shower, you do it. Okay. Right. So that's called having an obvious cue. All right. I won't recommend showering, doing push-ups in the shower, especially please consult your local doctor first before you do any of these things. I don't want to be responsible if you have any accidents. Next one, step 2. Step 2 is you want to make your habit attractive. Habits are naturally something that's very difficult if it's new. So you want to make it as attractive as possible by making it a pleasant experience. That is the one thing you can do for yourself. Okay. So in order for a habit to be effective, there must be some anticipation of reward. Okay. There must be some anticipation of reward. Now, how do you do that? How many of you back then, when you were in school, your parents would say, hey, please do your homework first, then you can go out and play. Okay, because they know this principle. They know this principle. They know that if you attach the habit that you want to a habit that you don't want, you tend to do the habit that you don't want so that you can perform the habit that you want. Okay, so they call it temptation bundling. All right, it's according to this a guy called Premack. He has this thing called Premack principle, which states that if you attach something that is unlikely to something that is likely, the unlikely becomes likely. Okay, the behavior becomes more likely. So you can format it this way. After I do the habit I need, I will do the habit I want. So for example, after I go for my run, I will maybe spend 10 minutes just to play my mobile game to reward myself. Okay, or after I finish all my tasks, then I would finish Netflix. Okay. There was one time where for a couple of years, I was running almost every day. Almost every day I was running. And the only reason why I did that was because I told myself that if I ran half an hour a day in the morning, immediately after that, I would play my PlayStation. And when I did my IPPT that year, it was the best. All because I was playing a lot of games and I was also doing a lot of running. Okay. So that was how I sort of wired a habit that I don't want to something that I was looking forward to. Okay, that's how you can trick your brain into doing things that you don't want to do. Okay, so use this format. After I do a habit I need, I will do the habit that I want. All right, are we good so far? Can we move on to the next step? Yes. Okay, hope all of you are finding this very valuable. The next step, step 3, is you want to make it easy. Make it easy. Your new habits shouldn't be overwhelmingly difficult to the point where you don't even bother trying. So if you are somebody who naturally doesn't go to the gym, okay, there's a lot of things you need to change before you start going to the gym. Okay, of course, one thing you can do is, of course, you can sign up, but that doesn't mean you will naturally start going to the gym. A lot of people think that, oh, New Year's resolution, time to start giving time to start signing up for gym membership. Gym memberships always highest peak, always during the start of the year. Okay, because people tend to want to have New Year resolutions on their fitness. So they sign up for gym. Okay, after 2 weeks, 90% already drop out. Why? Because going to the gym is not as easy as they think. So a new habit has to be easy enough for you or your brain to naturally pick up. Okay, pick up and make it a routine. All right. So in order for a habit to be effective, it has to require minimal effort or steps to perform. Because human beings, we naturally take the path of least resistance. We naturally take the path of least resistance. So the most addictive habits, they are usually the one that don't require a lot of effort. Very easy to do, very easy to click on Facebook, very easy that when the notification comes up, we check our WhatsApp. Very easy. You don't need a lot of effort to do it. Why? Because it's very easy. Okay, so if you want to start a new habit, you have to find a way to make it a micro habit. You need to make it small and easy enough for you to start doing regularly. And then later you can start building it up. So how does that work? You can use a very simple technique known as the 2-minute rule. Now, what does that mean? Your new habit, in general, should take at least or less than 2 minutes to do. Okay, so for example, what I started doing is, if let's say I want to start doing pull-ups, okay, then I have a pull-up bar at my home. So what I would do is, I won't spend more than 2 minutes doing it. I'll be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, tired, that's it. That's enough. I've done it for the day. Tomorrow, do it again. Okay. This was also a great technique that I used when I was writing my book. Okay, so I would spend no more than 2 minutes writing. So I would write as much as I possibly can in that 2 minutes. Okay, and if I'm in the flow, I would continue. If I find that it's a struggle, I would stop. But the most important is, I must do it. Okay, so a new habit, generally, it cannot be so long or so difficult that you don't do it. All right, you cannot be like, I want to write 1 page a day, or I want to write 1 article a day. If you're not used to reading or writing, it's going to be very, very tough. Okay, you're going to give up on it. You don't want to give up on it so soon. All right, so if it feels forced, then do it for at least 2 minutes, then stop. Okay. So you want to do, what you want to do is you want to master the habit of showing up first. You want to show up every day first, because you can't improve a habit that doesn't exist. So you need a strong foundation of habits first. Then you can start building it. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the final step. Okay. The final step that you want to have for your new habits is you want to make it satisfying. You want to make it satisfying. Okay, so the principle is, in order for a habit to be effective, it must make you feel immediately successful, even if it's a small way. Your habit has to be rewarding, because behaviors that are rewarded get repeated. Behaviors that are rewarded get repeated. You also need to reward yourself so that your brain knows that, oh, that was a good thing that I did. Let me repeat that. Behaviors that are rewarded get repeated. So one of the easiest things you can do is you can do this thing called habit tracking, all right? Because the things that we track, what gets monitored gets done, right? What gets measured gets done. The most effective motivator for us as human beings is progress. We like to see that we are moving on the right track. Okay, Kevin just now when he showed his graph, very exciting, right? Right? Why? Because it showed his progress. He knew he was on the upswing. Okay, and that motivates us. That makes us want to go. Okay. So you want to have a simple habit app, okay, on your phone. If you download any habit app, whether it's iPhone or Android, you can do so. I use this thing called Loop, all right? As you can see from my screen here, these are like all my habits, and it's very multicolored. It's very nice to do. What I like to do is this habit app is so good that it will track how long are your streaks, okay, what days you tend to miss, so on and so forth, all right? So in this case, my new meditation app, I have my longest streak is 129 days, 10 minutes meditation each day. Okay. Yes, that's Loop. Okay, so Cheng Kong is right. The habit that I use is called Loop. I just typed it in the chat. If you want, you can go and find it. If not, you can just use any habit app. If you don't like to use your phone, use manual, like how I did when I was 17. Okay, draw the habit chart yourself and start tracking it. All right. So that concludes a 4-part habit setting exercise. Okay, for that last step, remember to commit yourself to tracking it one way or another. So write down in your notes, I'm going to download this app, or I'm going to use the manual way, or I'm going to use my notebook. Okay, so commit to it. So the 4-part habit setting exercise is make it obvious. Step 2 is make it attractive. Step 3, make it easy. Step 4, make it satisfying. Okay, if you can do all these 4 things, you have enough for you to start new habits. You follow those 3 key principles, it will last. Okay, so this is a good summary slide. If you want, you can take a screenshot of it. This is all yours. All right, these are the things that we've learned today, at least the key points that we've learned today. Now, if you want my strategy on what I would do, okay, for 6 months, if let's say we were to work for 6 months, what would I share with you? Okay, it's very simple. If you want to go on a 6 months transformational program, you have to do it right. Okay, and the idea here is to become your ideal self in 6 months through the power of compounding habits. Okay, because habits are the compound interest of success. So you must know how to use habits. Okay, first 90 days is all about systemizing the behavior. Okay, envisioning ideal self, have a solid groundwork of keystone habits, install new beliefs in yourself, and create the infrastructure and environments. Then after that, move on to phase 2, day 91 to day 180. That's when you start optimizing. That's when you go for intensity. Okay, you do your adjustments, you layer on catalyst habits, and that's when you start exceeding your limits. So this is the exact recipe that I use on my current paid clients if they engage me when it comes to habits. It's a 6-month program. If you want to do it yourself, screenshot this so that you know exactly what to do for the 6 months. Okay, so it's something that you can also embark on for yourself. On a final note, I want to share with you one thing. Okay, consistency. Consistency is the master key to mastery. Your level of success will be determined by your ability to show up every single day. If you can just show up every single day, success is inevitable. Okay, you are knocking that boulder every single day, in. And one day your boulder will snap and you'll start to get a breakthrough. That's why they call it a breakthrough. Okay, and now makes sense to Linda, right? You've been thinking about it, right? Okay, so for today's segment, you've learned the 3 key principles to build lasting habits, a 4-part habit setting exercise, and the 10 proven strategies to master your habits. This one we didn't get to go through, but if you want, you can have the slides for it. Okay, so if you want the cards for the 10 proven strategies to master your habits, I have organized it into a set of printable set of flashcards. It's free for you to download. If you want this, I invite you to click on the link below here and just fill up the very simple form. Try to fill it up by today. It's a post-session feedback. Give me 1 or 2 things that you've learned from today's session with me, and I will send you these materials that you see here. If you're too lazy to click on the link, you can also just scan the QR code here. Right? If not, you can also send me an email as well. I will also drop in the other material, which is how to close your first coaching client. Maybe not very relevant to you, but you can also send it to some of your friends who want to set up coaching businesses. Okay. All right, that wraps up my segment today. I really enjoyed speaking to all of you here. I hope you've taken some gems or some diamonds and from my segment here today. And I really look forward to seeing you all get breakthroughs in your various results and all your goals through the power of simplified habits. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Haider, for sharing with us about how to cultivate habits and how to be focused on it and how to deal with the various aspects of it. We really appreciate your session today with us. Everyone in AIA, could we give a big applause for Haider, because he has spent so much time to prepare all the slides and has shared with us all the wonderful things that he has shared with us today on the 3 I's and the 4 steps. Can I get everyone to, I see all the taps coming in. Thank you. And indeed, thank you, Haida, for your time today. Deeply appreciate. Now, our next session is for our Q&A. Question and answer for both Kevin and Haida. Maybe can I get the Zoom master to stop sharing? Could we highlight both of them, Kevin and Haida, to help us with the Q&A session? All right. We have a few questions that came in. So maybe we'll start off with the first one. Okay. So first question is, what is more important, getting rid of bad habits or acquiring good ones? Maybe we can pass this over to Haida to answer this question.
Okay. Okay. So which one is more important? Acquiring good habits or getting rid of bad ones? This is actually a very personal question to everybody. Personally, for me, I find that both are important. Okay, both are important. Getting rid of habits is very important because sometimes it's not what you do. It's what it's something that you've been doing that is stopping you, right? It's not what you need to do, but it's something that you're already doing that is currently sabotaging your success. So if you identify that, oh, I have this bad habit, I keep waking up late and all that, then you really have to start getting rid of all these things. What tends to happen is your brain will tend to want to fill up that gap. And that's where when you start getting rid of those habits, you want to replace them with the better habits. Now, if you ask me personally, I prefer, I think that acquiring good habits is more important. And here's why. I feel like if you want to achieve any level of success in your life, you need to go on the offense. You cannot play defense. Right? You need to go out there. You need to start creating the best version of yourself. You need to set high goals. You need to go forward. You need to start taking the right actions to do so. It has to be a forward momentum. So moving towards will always be a stronger force than moving away. And that's why I believe that acquiring new habits, that's why in my talk, I didn't focus so much on getting rid of habits, but I focus more on the acquiring of it.
Thank you, Haida, for sharing that. Wow, this gave me lots of inspiration, and because I do admit I do have bad habits, and I will oppose it, and I will fight with it and bring in more new habits. Thank you. I'm sure everyone, I'm not the only one feeling this. I'm sure there are people who agrees with me, and indeed, I think that it's quite common for people to have this dilemma. So what, do I get rid of the bad habit? Do I bring in a new habit? And therefore, thank you, Haida, for sharing with us your insights. Maybe Ching Kok can help with the second question.
Yep. The next question is for Kevin, and I think this is your fan. Okay. So this person asks, has your answer to why am I on the bus or why am I in the bus changed throughout the years? So I think it's a fan that's curious about your situation. Kevin?
I didn't really get the question, as in bus, as in
Business.
business. Okay. Business. Okay. So what's the question again? Don't mind if you could.
Why are you in the business?
Oh, why I'm in a business?
Has it changed over the years?
Okay. So I grew up, of course, with my story, which I shared just now, with industry in the freight and the logistics industry. And like mentioned, 12 years ago, I became a bit restless because you see, doing this business over time, the insurance business over time, it's actually a very personal business, right? And the level of impact in the people that we deal with, in this case, is our customers. We're not only dealing with individuals, we're dealing with families. And then we're also dealing with, some of us, with corporations and companies. And the whole process of this, of doing a good planning for them, with the expertise that we have, it makes a lot of difference, because this impact, when it's passed on to them and is done properly, there's so much satisfaction, for me at least, when it's done. So why am I in this business? This is really actually one of the core reasons why I'm in this business. Back to you, Ching Kok.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kevin. We have just around 2 more minutes for Q&A. So if you have any burning question, just continue to put it into the Zoom group chat. We have a few that are very similar. Let me direct the next one to Haider again. So Haider, you know our job scope, what we do in our business and so on. So we would like to ask and consult, right? What is the most important habit in your opinion, right? And financial services consultants should have. What is like the most important, the most vital one in your opinion? Haider?
So I will share with you something that I've also shared with many of my clients as well. And it's not so much for financial service consultants, but salespeople in general, people who have to do sales. Okay, because I also do sales. So it's something that it's a habit that I practice myself. And I realized that once I started doing this, I was multiplying my profits. It wasn't just like, steady income and then, I start getting more clients. It was more like doubling. And I got a bit scared because I didn't know whether it was other habits that finally, so-called matured after a while. But once I start doing this, then it really became mind blown, right? It became crazy. So this is it. Right? I know I teased you all long enough. So the habit is very simple. What I would do is I would just have a notebook, okay? And every day I would just turn to the page. Say, for example, this is 1st June, right? And what I would do is on one half of the page, I would write down all my gratitudes, every single thing I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my office. I'm grateful for habits. I'm grateful for this notebook. I'm grateful for Ching Kok. I'm grateful for my friendship with Cindy. I'm grateful for Linda singing. I'm grateful for every single thing that I can think of. Okay, at the start of the day, I would open this notebook and I would write it all down here on one page. Okay, I try not to go more than one page. If not, sometimes you tend to go on and on. Okay, but I try to fill up at least one page. So I sort of force myself, even on bad days, to be grateful. And then on the second page, what I would do is I would write down my goals. And here's the thing. If your goals are something that you really want, you tend to notice that every page is the same thing. You're writing down the same things. But what you're doing is you keep affirming by writing it down. So for example, for me, I want to make, say, for example, 20K a month. So every single day, I would be writing that down to test myself to see, is this still at the top of my head? Right? So your goals shouldn't be something that you paste on the picture one time and then you just, no, you need to remind yourself, if this is something I really, really want. So that is what I would do, right? So this one is my new June book, so that's why it's new, it's very empty. June just started. So I only have 2 pages, 3 pages for today. And then 4th June, we don't have, that's tomorrow, right? So Linda also showing she got orange book, right? Very similar. Okay, so you can do this, right? And personally, I like the power of writing down. There's something that happens when you write down. I don't know what the magic is, but once I started doing this, I really start to see my income grow. Yeah.
Thank you, Haider, for sharing with us the book. And apparently there's more than one person that used the book. For some of the audience who do not know,
previously. Can you all hear me? Okay.
We lost you momentarily. Saying that now you're back.
Why the airport is not working anyway, so I have a connection issue. Anyway, you can hear me loud and clear, right? So for Haider, thank you for sharing about the book, because this is the first time I have ever heard Haider, after knowing him for a few years, to mention about the book, and therefore I will apply since Linda is using it too. And as for Kevin, I must say I know a different Kevin nowadays, because about a year plus back, I spoke to Kevin and I said, hey, tell me more about you and maybe share more about your business. Same thing, he shared the logistics story, but different thing was the attitude was different. Because I can vouch for him that he told me that, I'm just here to do part-time because I'm doing the logistic business is my full-time. But you see, 1 year down the road, wow, what a difference. He is a different man. The confidence has gone up and ultimately the sales shows. So congratulations to you, Kevin. And indeed, 2 different men and 2 different perspectives. I was told we could have one last question. Okay, I have time for one last question. I'll quickly ask. This is by Siu Ki Go. Yeah. May I ask, although habits is one thing we really need to cultivate, who are the prospects you go to other than existing clients or referrals? Maybe I'd like to direct the question to Kevin, since he has made so much of a difference and we have seen the results. Over to you, Kevin.
I think it's always the warm leads, the clients the people who are closest to us. That's always the first step to make a connection with. And once they have tasted or experienced the kind of service level that they get from me, then it is by itself already a testimony by itself. And with that, the kind of referral that is being passed on to somebody that they know, and I go in and take a step to serve them, who is a contact of my friends, it really makes a difference. So I would say that it's something that shouldn't be rushed. You know, I like to do things properly and do things at a pace that I have confidence that, you know, I'll be able to do a good job in, right? So that's my method, my personal method of working, which I hope is useful for you. Back to you, Cindy.
Thank you, Kevin. And that was the last question. And to wrap it up, to make it short and sweet, isn't it all about having the right attitude and having that change in your attitude? Isn't it all about tackling your habits, simple steps at a